So day one of the four-wheel drive conversion on the little 67 GMC. I have my axle, my donor axle in here. It's a Dana 44. I don't know what gears, and I don't think the hubs work, but I have hubs. And anyway, it's otherwise right. It's all there, and it should be in pretty quick. I haven't done anything other than pull the seat out to start working on the interior. Here's my transmission transfer case. So I went ahead and pulled out the rubber matting and all of the interior. So this thing actually has really, really good floors. I'm going to change this rocker because I'm here, but I don't really need to. It has heavy rust, so I know it's going to rot. If you look down here, see? So if I change it now, it's just sort of easy. I'm not, trying to be a metal archaeologist and find stuff that's not there. I'm just going to do it. The other side definitely needs it, and it needs a little bit of kick panel. I have the high hump set in there, getting ready to cut that out. I have to take out the fuel tank before I start welding. And this is what a typical two-wheel drive looks like, unless it's a big block or a manual. And then it had this removable high hump is what a lot of people call it. So I have this one. I'm just going to put that in there. It's actually out of a 72. There is a difference in where the hole's at from early ones to 72, but it's okay. I have the 72 style shifter, and I also have a 72 style transmission coupler. So, yeah, you can still see this thing looks pretty good in there. Let's go to the other side. So this side definitely needs a rocker. Not so much on the outside, but for sure on the inside. There's a hole there. I'm surprised the inner rocker looks pretty good. This thing was kept inside, so a little teeny bit of kick panel work. That's no big deal. I'll just weld a patch in there. And yeah, luckily the upper cab on this baby is real nice. So that's really the only metal work I'm going to do to this while I'm doing this conversion. Is I'm just going to throw two rockers on it just because they go out. And these are going, so might as well, once they're off, I'm going to go through and 415 the inner rockers and just coat everything really good. And, this should last the rest of my lifetime then. Yeah. Well, next time you guys see this, it won't have a fuel tank, and more stuff will get done to it. Probably front clip will come off. So I wanted to explain what I'm going to do. This is going to be a four-wheel drive conversion, as I've already gone over, but I'm going to do it using all parts that I already have, so I'm not really buying much stuff. I'm going to buy some bushings and a couple of things that it's just a no-brainer to replace, but for the most part, everything is getting reused. I'm not even going to, re-gear anything. I'm just going to put it all together so it's a four-wheel drive. I'm going to re-gear my front axle later and kind of rebuild the front axle once it's in the truck. I just want to get it together. Since I've never done this conversion before, I want to see how it goes and, whether or not it's really easy or not. Get it together, make a four-wheel drive, and then kind of do improvements later on. This is going to be the absolute cheapest possible conversion that I can do. It's all with leftover parts that I have from other builds. So that's sort of the premise of this build. Here's the four-wheel drive transmission and transfer case. this is my table of brackets and cross members and springs and all sorts of stuff. Over there is a power steering box. I have this bed's a little dented on this side. I have the high hump there. Brake booster, master, kind of everything I need to get this done. So, looking forward to starting on it. Okay, just got the GMC on the lift for the first time in maybe who knows how long. And I'm getting ready to PB blast all the bolts that I'm going to take apart later. I found that this is a very helpful step so that you don't have to break bolts and heat things. If you can PB blast all of your old rusty bolts a couple times, it will help you immensely. So this is my first real time underneath this thing. So we're gonna check it out. So I'm gonna start at the bolts that I know I have to get. So bumper, and let me get my light. All right, so I'm gonna make a quick video on completing a project. A lot of people ask me, this sounds weird, but a lot of people ask me, how do I complete so many projects? And it's because I'm more organized than a lot of people. And I don't mean that I'm an organized person, I'm a messy person. My toolbox is a mess, but my days aren't. My days are pretty tight. I have them planned out at least some of the way every day. So today I'm gonna start working on this C10 here, and I'm gonna show you guys a couple of things that I do just to stay on track for a project, and it's really easy. So, completing projects. If you go to work on your vehicle, I have a lot of friends that do this, and they'll say, hey, I'm working on my car tomorrow. And I'll be like, oh, cool, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, I don't know. It needs a lot of things. I'll figure it out tomorrow. You've already lost at that point, because you should know what you're doing the night before and have a pretty clear plan. So that's what I was talking about when I'm talking about easy things to do to manage your project. So having a list is really key. This is my list from yesterday. Yesterday was day 3. So actually, yesterday was day 2. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, heat and bend the frame. I did half of the welding and grinding. Bolt list, I already got the bolts. I filmed, I posted, I checked the steering box. Straighten steering link. Oh, no, I didn't get to that. Front spring hanger prep, did that. And I did not go to the paint shop right there. So I got most of that stuff done, and that's pretty good. If you can get 75% of your list done every day, you're gonna move forward on the project, and you're gonna get a lot done. I'm gonna write a much more simple list for today, since today is Friday. And I also didn't get a lot done yesterday because I was doing this while I was working. So yeah, have a plan. Like I said, I'm not a organized person. You can see how messy this is, but my days are very organized, and I managed to get a lot of stuff done because of that. Okay, so once again, PB blaster. I'm gonna get in here and get all the bolts that I want to take off. Looks like I might need a little bit of a fender cup. This can was $6, and I can't stress enough how much better PB Blaster is than like WD-40. Even though I love WD-40 and the way it smells, PB Blaster is kind of like the thing that actually works. So I found with PB Blaster, look at, there's still dirt right there. I'm just gonna try and blast that dirt away. Other than it smells horribly, PB Blaster really gets the job done. I like to hit both sides of the bolt so it can creep in from both directions. So what else are we gonna take off? We're gonna take everything off on this baby. There's that Turbo 400. It's interesting that this truck came with a Turbo 400. Everything looks pretty normal under here. Nothing's good or bad. So since I'm taking this whole front cross member out, I'm really just gonna focus on the bolts that hold it in. It's hard to like accurately, there we go. This is an important one for the front clip, right here. Get that baby soaked really well. In there. The lower inner fender bolts are important. So check this out. This isn't something you see every day in a C10. A Dana 44. I guess this was a 67 only thing. This one still has its tag right there. This one still has its tag. 354, so it's got 355s in it. I think I'm gonna leave it. I haven't heard any real definitive bad stuff about this particular iteration of Dana 44. I'm gonna assume that it's the same as any Dana 44, you know, like ever. And my other option is just to put a 12 bolt in this truck, which I have. So, I mean, I'm not really worried. It looks like it's a heavy duty leaf spring truck. It's definitely got a heavier duty pack than just a normal C10. That was probably a custom order for this. So, I mean, 355 sound pretty good to me for highway gears. This is what you want to do before you work on a truck. The more times, the better. Just get in here with your favorite penetrating lubricant. Personally, like I said before, I prefer the PB Blaster. It's available, easily available, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. And it works, for sure. It works much better than WD-40 or anything else like that, at least that you can get at your hardware store. Now there is this other stuff called Kroll, I think it's called, and it's amazing as well. It might even be better than PB Blaster, but PB Blaster is sort of available everywhere. So, I mean, I don't think I've ever found Kroll in a store other than one random occurrence. So, yeah, just get in here. Every bolt that you know you're gonna take off. I'm not gonna take the cab off, so I'm not gonna mess with any of that. I've already kind of gotten all those done. That's interesting. I've never ever seen that before. This is a Turbo 400, but it has a smaller input shaft. I've never seen that before. It's got a giant one-piece drive shaft, which is nice. Interesting. This is really interesting. This must be a car. I didn't think there was a difference. I thought all Turbo 400s were the same. Either that, or I'm just not seeing. Either that, or I'm just not seeing that it's big. I'm just dumb today, which is very possible. So for everybody who strips out a bumper bolt, all you have to do is weld a perch mount here to it. Yep. So we are near the end of the day on day 2. So what I did today was pull the front clip off. That was really easy. If you've never done it, it's basically just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts. 9, 10, 12. I guess you could say it's about 12 bolts and some wiring, and it's off. Comes right off. 2 people, 2 strong people are just strong enough. And oh, look at that. It's kind of a bummer. I didn't realize that was broken. Then I went ahead, I'm by myself, and just got rid of all this 2-wheel drive lameness. Just I either cut or impact hammered all the bolts off of it, and this thing is done. It'll never go on another car again, probably. So yeah, thank you for your service. Just for fun, I went ahead and rolled my 12 volts, or I'm sorry, my Dana 44, and put it not even really close, but approximately where it's gonna go. Just so I could kind of, I don't know, get some gratification for the day. Looking at it like, hey, look, that looks like a K10. So I also took off the steering box and some of the brake line stuff. Tomorrow I'm going to, all right, so on C10s and C20s, this spot here is where the brake, one of your brake rods, it's this rod that connects to your cable goes. And so this is all dimpled, and this needs to be flat because that's where my leaf spring hanger is gonna go. So tomorrow I'm gonna do metal work on that. Heat it, pound it, cut it, and weld it until it's just one solid piece of metal, indistinguishable from the rest of the frame. That's what I'm gonna do there. 4-wheel drives have another little bracket that goes here to sort of sandwich the, what do you call it? The shock. Although I don't know why this stud isn't used because it's in the same place. Seems like a stud would be better. It's kind of weird. Yeah, there's a little 6-cylinder in the Turbo 400. Leaked a little bit of brown water out of it. It's going back in. This is a good motor. I have I love this motor. It's going to go right back in. Runs like a top. This transmission will get put in my transmission pile, and I can start playing around with spring hangers. So I guess my goal, to think about this, my goal for the end of the week would be to have this thing in a rolling chassis again. All right, so this is day 2, 4-wheel drive conversion on this 67 C20, gonna be, or sorry, C10, it's gonna be K10. I have the whole front end of it stripped off. And something kind of interesting, I was told that 67s have a completely flat frame. This one does not. It has dimples for a 4-wheel drive steering box or for a power steering box. The other 67 frame that I have does not have this. It's completely flat. So that's another difference between 67s and other years. So right now we're going to talk about the brake cable dimples. It's this weird little dimpled section right here, and that does not work on a 4-wheel drive because the rear shackle mount goes right there. So that's something that we have to address. And I can show you that I've already done it on this side. So now you can see this is perfectly flat, and I haven't ground anything and made it look pretty. These holes need to get welded up, and this just needs to get ground and make it look beautiful. But if you look down the side of it, it is definitely flat, and yeah, it looks great, I think. I'm gonna weld those holes up and grind it and then mount that spring, or that shackle mount there. So the rear shackle mount. Now this side, I'm gonna attempt to video me flattening it, so you'll have that. All right, so this is going to be the end of day 2 on the 4-wheel drive conversion C10. And what I did today, I didn't have a whole lot of time because work, but is I heated up this dimpled area and I flattened it out. And then on the other side, I actually welded that all up. Also, when you're going from a 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive, up here, all these holes are unnecessary. This is where that big cross member bolts in for 2-wheel drives. So this side is just prepped and flattened, and the other side, I went a little further. I welded it up, and I welded those holes all up right there and ground it, and then I went ahead and drilled out the rivets and put my little conversion bracket in here and hung a leaf spring in it, just so I could get a visual representation of what's going on. Looks pretty good to me. If I would have had my hole saw, I could have cut that and possibly got the rear shackle mount installed, but it's coming along. It's a little bit slower today because the welding and the old frame kept on wanting to make porous welds, so I had to grind some out and re-weld them. But all in all, this side is one hole saw and a few holes and bolts away from being done, and then I can start on the other. But this is good because if I can get this completely done like this tomorrow and get this axle mounted, it'll be a roller, which will meet my goal for the week of this thing not being on this lift the whole weekend. So unfortunately I didn't get a whole lot of time today. I'm gonna make a bolt list. I'm gonna go buy some really nice black phosphate collared head grade 8 bolts, and everything is gonna be done up really nice with that, with interference lock nuts. So, okay. So I wanna explain this little bracket right here. This is a 67 truck. I have a 67 K10 frame that is really bent up, so I can't use it. So that's why I decided to convert this C10 frame to 4-wheel drive. This is a 67-68 leaf spring hanger bracket, and it's made of cast, and you can see this one is bent, and the rivets were broken in a couple spots and missing, and one of the ears is broken off. I'm still gonna straighten this and sell it to somebody who's hell-bent on having original parts, but I went ahead and made this piece. I also incorporated it with a bumper bracket hole that's higher, so that that big half-inch bolt that goes through there will help make this whole thing stronger. And so this is just mocked up right now, but that's for everybody that sees this and goes, whoa, what is that? Did he make his own bracket? Well, yeah, I did, but I made it to sort of emulate the factory bracket. So I think once that's painted, I could have even ground those welds down and made it look more cast, but I don't care that much. So this truck is going to have factory everything except that. That's going to be the only thing that's not. And so, yeah, I just kind of wanted to explain that. The other benefit with 67, 68s, I think it's the only benefit, because the 69 through 72 style is this big encapsulating thing that comes over here, and it's much stronger. But this kind of looks like they were like, oh no, how do we convert a truck to four-wheel drive? So I think making these, which I'm going to make, might actually be valuable, because it's easier to keep your radiator support and just throw one of my conversion brackets on, and then, you know, whatever your favorite spring hanger. These are actually off of a 67, but you could probably put them off of a lot of different things, or put new ones. And it's easy to kind of locate everything. You just drill out the two rivets, drilled out these two rivets, and then it just locates itself right there like that. I'm gonna also, while I'm at this, rosette weld the inside in here. This hole is already existing here. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and rosette weld and bolt that here. You can see on this one where the rivets are. So, you know, it comes over and it gets bolted. But I'm gonna, since I don't wanna like hit something really hard and have this baby come off, I'm gonna just rosette weld and grind that flat. You won't know that it's rosette welded, but it will be. I don't see any benefit to being able to remove this thing. Okay, so this is ready to weld. I have some slugs I cut out, welded into the frame. They don't fit quite perfectly, but they are 3/16, which is about what this frame is. And I'm getting ready to weld up all these holes. So after I made my little template here for my old frame, I still think it's a good idea to take a shackle mount and sort of sight it in. It looks just about perfect. So now I have to drill a 2-inch hole, which seems like kind of too big. The factory is a little bit under 2-inch. This is an electrician's 2-inch hole saw. I don't know. Kind of thinking maybe I should have gone with a 1 3/4, but too late now. The world's dullest pilot. Yay! It's pretty nice. Looks pretty good to me. Now I think what I might do, this could be overzealous, but I think I'm going to get a rod that fits through these very tightly so that I can make sure that they're on the same exact axes. I think that might help. I don't know. I bet they're not on just a normal 50-year-old truck, but all right, so that's something to think about. So I found, in my humble opinion, wow, that's really crooked, that it's easier to drill out the rivets than to cut them. When I was researching this project, some people were like, yeah, grind them off. Some people were like, torch them out. I've tried both. For whatever reason, I think drilling's the easiest. I just shear the rivet off, the big punch. Boom, came right off. Killed the guy across the shop. So I have these sort of mocked up. Bolts are in semi-tight. Everything's there. I slipped a 5/8 rod all the way through back or in the front here to make sure everything is true, and I measured it off a couple different points on the frame to make sure it's straight. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but I'm just kind of double checking. And then back there I did the same thing. I have not drilled any of the holes yet back there, so I made sure everything was square that way. So this rod is square to that rod. Should be good enough. I don't think these old trucks are that straight anyway. Okay, so it is resting. No engine front clip, obviously, but it's definitely gonna need to come up in the back a little bit. So, okay, this is the end of day 3. I have an axle in it. It's resting on on the axle. It's not bolted in yet, and everything's bolted together, but not for the final time. I'm going to take everything apart again and Loctite, and a few other little things here and there just to make things extra tight. Saw my earlier video how I made sure all the perches were square to each other, but this is pretty much what everything looks like right now. Those bolts on the shackles are loose, so the springs might be sitting kind of wonky right now, but I just wanted to kind of have it together for the end of the day. Basically what I did today was weld up all of this, all these holes here, and same there, and then cut the holes, the big 2-inch hole for the shackle mounts. And same thing up here, drilled out all the rivets and bolted all this together, and then checked to make sure that it's in the right place and square and true and all that. So yeah, it's pretty good, dude. It's I would say it qualifies as a 4-wheel drive right now. I mean, it's got a 4-wheel drive axle. So on the agenda for next week, this is Friday, by the way, is cutting out the floor. So I guess the first thing I'll do is, I got kind of screwed over by my parts guy. I was supposed to have my bushings for my leaf springs and my leaf spring shackle mount, but yeah, he screwed me. They didn't come. Actually, as soon as I'm done filming this, I'm going to call him and yell at him. But so anyway, if I would have had those, this would be kind of final assembled. I'm actually leaving a little bit early today. I would have stayed late and got it totally assembled forever, but I guess that's not going to happen until Monday. So yeah, next week is first things first. I will get this completely assembled and done, and make the whole front of it nice and tight and ready to go. Put the steering box on, steering links, all that. And then I'm going to just kind of quickly shoot some paint on it. Not quickly, but paint it. Then one of the next things I'm going to do is cut out the high hump. I already went over that a little bit. After the high hump is cut out, I figure that'll take me 3 hours with everything. Then I can start getting the cross member in. That's also why I wanted to paint this a little bit first. Once the cross member's in, I can couple the engine, transmission, transfer case together and shoehorn them in, and it'll be sitting in its final place. Then I can drill the holes for the rear cross member, bolt it down, and then measure my point from my transfer case yoke to the differential yoke and get my drive shaft